lurching on the sidelines, searching for the guidelines, twitching on the byways, hitching on the highways of life.
Welcome to Session 8 of the Neurotic Vaccine. I'm clinical and forensic psychologist Dr. Scott Cowan. We could all use a shot in the arm when it comes to encouragement. Encouragement to become our best selves, to not let our mental roadblocks limit our capacity to achieve what we ourselves may not realize we're capable of achieving. That goes for you, our listeners, as well as my patient, former Seinfeld writer and author Andy Cowan, in his ongoing journey to become immune to neurosis.
Ongoing journey. I have this GPS woman who keeps telling me, you've arrived at what turns out to be the wrong address. On this ongoing journey, you're about as reliable as she is.
I'm about as reliable as she is? Are you referring to me, the person who's trying to guide you on this journey?
No, that's not fair. You're reliable. I'm spinning my wheels here and in the car.
Andy, I have your welfare, your journey at the forefront of my thinking.
No, I don't doubt that. But when I finally got a GPS, when I finally got my smartphone, it literally made me smile ear to ear as I was driving. You know me. I never smile ear to ear. I rarely smile eyeball to eyeball. With my lousy sense of direction, it's like Beethoven finally getting a hearing aid.
Well, isn't this phenomenal progress? You finally got the GPS, you got the smartphone, and you're smiling ear to ear.
But...
here comes the but. All right, let's hear it. Lay it on me.
I had total faith in my GPS woman when I first got her. Yeah, I really felt like we were on that trip together. With her in the car, I felt less lonely. Letting somebody else control my every move was comforting. Even though in session 1, I talked about how giving somebody else control, like Instacart, could be stressful. But in this case, her job was to show me the way. She had my best interests at heart. That's what I'd think going into every new relationship. I always give them the benefit of the doubt in the beginning. But now, it seems like another case of misplaced trust.
Boy, there's so much in that statement. I'm going to focus on a couple of parts in the beginning. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but what I was hearing was it sounds like you were developing a relationship with the digital, non-human GPS entity. Is that correct?
I'm not Joaquin Phoenix in the movie Her. I wasn't counting her as another passenger and taking the carpool lane.
So where does it stand now with your virtual woman in your life?
She takes me to final destinations that don't exist. And she makes me take, these out-of-the-way U-turns at dangerous intersections. I used to think I'd be lost without her. Now I'm lost with her.
How about if we get back to the journey, Andy? Where are you with the journey?
The journey? Well, I got virtual friends in my car trying to kill me. And I got virtual friends on Facebook killing my day. I know I'm behind the curve. Younger demos don't even care about Facebook. Even Facebook dropped the corporate name. Screw the curve. Why are people behind it or ahead of it, but never with the curve? Does the curve not bathe?
The journey, Andy.
Okay. This is what's getting to me, Dr. K. I feel antisocial if I don't get sucked into the Facebook friends vortex. And I feel guilty if I don't like what they just posted or comment about what they just posted, which means I got to read what they just posted and later like any likes to my comment. Or else, the rare times I post anything and hardly get any likes, I wonder, is it because they don't like what I posted? Or because they don't like that I didn't get around to liking something they posted and it's retribution?
Sounds like a lot of assumptions that you're making about the inner workings of people who post, Andy.
Yeah, but isn't that what life's all about, Dr. K? Reciprocity, birthday gifts, compliments, likes, nuclear bombs, mutually assured destruction. This is mutually assured snubbing. And it's not enough I gotta like some joke they posted. If others respond with a laughing emoji, my measly thumb up turns into a middle finger up unless I send a laughing emoji too. They get enough guilt-induced laughing emojis, they'll think they're funny and post more stuff your emoji has to laugh at.
Sounds like you're feeling a pressure to respond to posts and an ongoing reaction to not having your posts responded to. I wonder if it would be better just to take a step back and let it happen organically, if at all, not feeling the pressure to respond to everyone's post. It's okay, Andy. You don't have to respond to everything, just what you want to.
Notice I didn't respond to what you just said? Come on, Dr. K. How can I not respond? It's like walking past a bird's nest with little baby birds dying to be fed. The dwindling non-virtual friends in my life at least aren't as needy. They're not saying, I like that you called. Do you like that I like that you called? Do you like what I'm doing? What about now? Aren't hookers paid to say that?
Yeah, they are, Andy. We're in the world of paid likes.
Yeah, well, the free obligatory likes are annoying enough.
Can you give me an example of the last time you felt pressured to respond to a post and what that post was about?
Somebody updates their profile picture. Tons of responses. Nice pic. Looking good. Tons of hearts. And no hearts from me. So they must wind up thinking, that Cowan ingrate hates my face.
Well, Andy, we don't need to focus on what could go wrong.
So gratified to get these nice comments from my students. Saw that one recently. Not gratified enough, or they wouldn't need more gratification from my wow emoji. I mean, you tell me, Dr. K, do I have a deviant personality?
I don't think that's the case at all. Let's look on the positive, upbeat side of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because the emoji choices Facebook gives me still don't capture how I'm feeling. Somebody's I was hacked post got this teary-eyed emoji. Now, I didn't post a teary-eyed emoji back. Does that make me heartless?
Maybe there's no need to even respond.
I don't like the fact they were hacked. I'm certainly not laughing at the fact they were hacked, but I'm not shedding tears over it either. Where's the, what are you going to do, shrugging shoulders emoji? I might have sent that.
I'm sure there's plenty of people into emojis. It doesn't sound to me like you're one of those individuals.
Is there a duh emoji I could send you? I don't know. I mean, I feel like they get so many responses that if I don't respond, I kind of get shunned. And if I had posted a teary-eyed emoji in response to their hack, what if someday they post that their dog died or their house burned down? The teary-eyed emoji wouldn't cut it anymore. If I'm teary-eyed over their hack for a dead dog, I'd need to post some red-eyed emoji with snot pouring out of his nose. Do emojis have noses? Maybe it wouldn't be possible to have snot pouring out of his nose.
How about posting multiple teary-eyed emojis?
I really need a team of emojis to express how sad I am. That's not going to look like I'm making fun of the other crying emojis.
You got an answer for everything.
It's too much of a sappy thing, like John Boehner used to do when he was Speaker of the House.
How's the journey feeling right about now, Andy?
Yeah, you're misdirecting me just like my GPS woman. I felt like sending a teary-eyed emoji for me in response to this one post the other day. This is after they had what was really a tiny earthquake out here in Southern California. And she's living in New York now, and she posts, "So happy I moved back east." For whom is that message? The people back east? It's not for us who are still living here. Am I supposed to send a message with smiley emojis? So happy you're not at risk of tectonic plates underneath you, totally disrupting and possibly ending your life like we still are.
Andy.
Yeah?
Facebook and other social media will only be shoved in your face to the extent that you allow it to be shoved into your face. If you limit the amount of time you spend on it, it won't be that type of an issue. And I think this has got to be coupled with a desire to interact with people in the real world. Now, not just a desire, an actual commitment to interacting with people in the real world, not in the digital world.
I'd be up for interacting with real people. Real people aren't interacting with me. The only ones calling me are bots or butts. Twice in the last week, I eavesdropped on a long conversation my friend's having with his wife after his butt dialed me. And you listen forever, because how often do you get the chance to eavesdrop on a husband and wife?
Wow.
Meanwhile, his butt dials me more often than he does. I told him about it. He couldn't even figure out how it happened, which means his butt doesn't even remember calling me. Between my friend's butt and Mary Lou Henner in the last show with her super memory, remembering being baptized at 3 weeks, but not me when I interviewed her on the Griffin show, I must really be unmemorable.
It's just a one-off, Andy. I don't think that's the case at all. Let's look on the positive, upbeat side of it. Somebody's still communicating with you, even if it's a butt.
Oh, great.
You must have some value, Andy.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, B-U-T-T-S.
Of course, no people in my actual life are introducing me to new friends, but Facebook algorithms are. We have nothing in common. They can be half a world away. Am I supposed to write back, "Hi, Facebook thought we should virtually get to not really know each other. Let's start guilt-tripping each other into liking what we post"?
Let me ask you an important question. Are you, Andy, creating opportunities where people or your friends will introduce you to people? What are you doing to make that happen?
Well, if they're listening to this show right now, how I'm bashing their Facebook postings, maybe they'll introduce me to their middle finger. What am I supposed to do? Walk up to complete strangers? "Hi, you don't know me, and we have no common experiences we've shared that can help build friendships over time."
Actually, that's not a bad idea that you just had, walking up to strangers and starting a conversation. Not, "Will you be my friend?" but just, "Hey, how are you? What's going on today for you? How's your day going?" "Fine. How's yours?" "Very good." Now, it sounds kind of inane, but what it does, Andy, is creates the beginning of a connection. It's something you have been dying for, among other things, for fulfillment in your life on this journey of self-discovery.
Meaningless small talk is going to bring me fulfillment? And what, next time I run into him, "Hi, remember I was the guy who asked how your day was? How's your day today?" Jeez.
You go to the same place over and over again, so you establish a presence. So it could be a coffee shop, it could be a cafe, bookstore. People get to know you.
What people? The people who work there? Oh, there's that guy who keeps loitering here every day.
If you're having some concerns about it, I'd be happy to do it with you. We could do it together.
I need my shrink as a wingman for meeting total strangers in bookstores. First of all, they're all in their bubbles, glued to their phones. I get it. They have lives. The people on Facebook have lives. I don't. They should call it "Rub It in Your Facebook."
We don't know that they have lives. They have manufactured lives that they're projecting. We really don't know what their lives are actually like.
Yeah, projecting, all right. Like slideshows. At least in the old days, you'd get drinks and dinner before the slideshow of people's vacations. Now you just get the slideshow. Forget vacations. I'm talking everyday lives. Wordle puzzles they did. What's next? Their sperm count?
Aren't you sharing your life here?
My problems and quirks, yeah. Where's the Facebook for us shut-ins? At least I could compete. I could post pictures of the trash chute outside. That's about the only place I venture out of my apartment to go to every day.
Maybe a support group for shut-ins. Another way in, another way connection with people. I bet there's like-minded people who think that way.
We're shut-ins. We don't need another way in. We need a way out.
Yeah, that's what you'd have to do. You'd have to get out.
Well, if any shut-ins are listening, meet you at the trash chute. My question to you, Dr. K, which you kind of paid lip service to before, if these people's lives are so great, why aren't they living their lives instead of taking time away from them to post about their lives? Happy anniversary to my beautiful wife. I can't imagine life without you. Here's an idea. Tell your beautiful wife. What if he didn't tell her and she discovers it on Facebook? Is she replying to him with a heart emoji or an FU emoji? Do they have an FU emoji?
I think I'm going to call you the doomsday prophet, always anticipating bad outcomes. Maybe he told his wife, but also wanted to share his love for her with the world. What's wrong with that, Ed?
He's so blinded by his love, he has no awareness. Others who might not be so in love might not feel like reading an example of how their love lives suck in comparison. On top of which, they're guilt-tripped into liking it and encouraging him to keep posting new examples of why their love life sucks in comparison.
Maybe they feel it's something to aspire to, that even in the midst of their desperation and failed relationships, successful relationships are possible because people are having them. And I know that's what you want, Andy.
But if the guy and his wife were at an actual gathering with friends, or like Facebook friends, pseudo friends, most of whom they don't know well or even visit in person, They might catch wind that it's the guy's anniversary, but he's not going to stop the proceeding. Excuse me, attention everybody. Happy anniversary to my beautiful wife. I can't imagine life without you, or the people I'm forcing to hear this right now. Or here I am with the cutest kid in the world. I'm sure you're a loving parent to that cutest kid in the world, but where's the F you, what about my kid emoji? Now I'm scared to post a link to this episode on Facebook in case my Facebook friends take it personally. I wasn't talking about them, Dr. K. I was talking about everybody who isn't them.
Well, I think your Facebook friends know you and understand your psyche well enough to not overly personalize it. And Andy, I wonder to what extent this semi-ranting about Facebook emojis and the assumption you have about other people, to what extent does this help your journey towards self-actualization and fulfillment?
Again with the journey. I'm getting car sick from this journey. Are we there yet? It helps my journey towards fulfilling a need to vent to you, my shrink, about Facebook posters not facing the possibility not everyone's in their same boat.
Okay.
Happy National Siblings Day to my favorite sibling. A non-virtual, actual friend posted that. I mean, a warm childhood picture with his sister. Are the siblings not talking to each other, rushing to like that? I could have added a laughing emoji to that one.
Well, they may be sharing that with each other, but they also want to share it with the world.
Yeah, the world of estranged families. My sister adds these warm, glowing responses to the posts of folks connected in some way to where we went to high school or elementary school. People she hasn't rubbed shoulders with for decades. As I've referenced before, the Stepford world of pleasantries you don't give or get from actual people in your life. So get this. She finally ends one post with advice to all about staying in touch with people. Don't think. Just do it before it's too late. Heart, heart, heart. She was answering a kid's post about her mother, an old schoolmate of ours who'd passed away last year. And you know what I did?
What?
I copied and pasted my sister's advice to all and sent it back to her with the subject heading, "Your own advice?" Who knows if she saw it because she doesn't stay in touch with at least this people. All this talk from Zuckerberg about leaving reality behind for a metaverse of our own creation. Dr. K, with all the Facebook friends in my life who aren't really in my life, and the bots I talk to on the phone instead of actual people, and the amount of screen time I kill on the computer, phone, and TV instead of witnessing actual life that you're recommending, if all that's my reality, I should make my future metaverse Mayberry.
Yeah, that might be a step forward, even though it's a movement backward.
Well, I like that therapy session, Dr. K, but not enough to use an emoji's thumb.
Well, Andy, you giveth and you taketh away. What did you like most about the therapy session, Andy?
That it ended.
I love that. The humor is intact. I love that.
If one day I really do get to completely control a metaverse of my own creation, I'm a creature of habit. Who's to say I wouldn't double down on the cloistered world I'm used to? Make it unnecessary to even go out to the trash chute. Virtually create a trash chute right in my apartment. And a mail chute. Never have to go to the lobby to pick up my mail.
You're identifying one of the big problems we have in change. People tend to default to their natural position, whatever it is. With you, it's doubling down in the chute. With somebody else, it might be something else. It might be drinking more, or it might be giving into impulses that could be temporarily beneficial, but ultimately harmful.
What about giving into this impulse? I don't think it would be that harmful. 4K, 24-hour dusk screens in place of my apartment windows. My favorite time of day, dusk. So I never have to see the dust particles made visible by the blinding sun again. Hanging with my virtual wife, I'd probably tell how beautiful she was to my Facebook friends. Watching the dusk, not the dust. Except for when I needed my own space, exactly when she sprouts wings and flies away to her own space. There's my metaverse for you.
I wonder if there's something there for your journey, Andy.
Every time you use the word journey, I keep thinking about how high the gas is in LA still. I should fill the tank halfway to make it lighter. which should cause better gas mileage, meaning I'd burn less gas, leaving more gas behind, making the car heavier, giving me worse gas mileage, and burning more gas, making the car lighter, giving me better gas mileage, and burning less gas, making the car heavier, giving me worse gas mileage. No wonder I don't go anywhere.
Andy, how about filling the tank of life halfway?
Boy, you're full of metaphors tonight. Tank of life, journey of life. Try being half full of metaphors. Maybe you'll get better mileage. And why just halfway? Why not fill the tank of life?
I want to fill it in a way that's going to maximize the chance of success. Small steps, big outcomes, Andy.
Well, Dr. K will be visiting a little later on with a guest who's gotten great mileage with his sad sack oddball character you've seen and heard on lots of shows over the years. Everybody Loves Raymond, Friends, Seinfeld, where he and I also worked as writers. And he's also the author of My Seinfeld Year, and maybe we'll have you back the life of a perennial TV guest star. Actor, comedian, and author Fred Stoller will be joining us.
Wow, I am looking forward to hearing Fred's comments about his life and maybe about your life.
Speaking of sad, one thing that made us all a little sad this past year were the supply side shortages.
Hey, Andy, things are getting better.
Yes, but there remains no more glaring shortage than the shortage of award shows. But right now, we're going to help fill that shortage gap with the Facebook Oversharing Awards. We're not wearing tuxes or anything. I'm not even wearing pants, but that's probably oversharing. The Facebook nominees for Best Unnecessary Travelogue: Picking Up Some Ice at 7-Eleven, Neil Brock, Oversharer, Scarfing Down a Pickle During Pickleball, Louise Enron, Oversharer, and Colonoscopy Twilight, Marie and Perry Jarvin. That's a close couple. Scott, why don't you open the envelope?
So exciting. And the winner is Picking Up Some Ice at 7-Eleven, Neil Brock.
Neil couldn't be here. He's picking up some ice at 7-Eleven, but we accept the award on Neil's behalf. The Facebook nominees for Least Aware of Actuarial Tables: My Dear Mom Would Have Been 127 Today, Wanda Kretsky, Oversharer, Love You, Pop-Up, Happy 50th Anniversary of Your 50th Anniversary, Louise Gorkas, Oversharer, and I Still Miss You, Noodles, Happy 178th in dog years. Leon Kurland, Oversharer. Scott, you did such a nice job opening the last envelope.
Okay. And the winner is I Still Miss You, Noodles. Happy 178th in dog years. Leon Kurland.
Leon is still mourning the loss of Harvey at 89 in hamster years, but we accept on Leon's behalf. The Facebook nominees for Best Shortening of One's Own Actuarial Table: Pork Sliders, Mashed Potatoes, and Gravy. Good. Arnold Willoughby, Oversharer. Looks tasty, think I'll have some. Drooling emoji. Alan Spitz's comment to Arnold Willoughby. Not sure that deserved a nomination, but it certainly was oversharing. And finally, Clean My Plate. Good. Also Arnold Willoughby. A rare double nominee.
Wow. And the winner is... It's a tie.
Wow.
Pork sliders, mashed potatoes, and gravy. Good. Arnold Willoughby and Clean My Plate. Good. Arnold Willoughby.
Arnold is having a stent put in, but we accept on Arnold's behalf. And finally, the most coveted Facebook Oversharing Award, the Facebook nominees for Best Supporting Partner. To my precious wife on our honeymoon night. I can't wait to share our love after I post this and see how the response is. Sydney Goldsmith. Happy anniversary, darling. You were gorgeous the day I married you, and more gorgeous every day since. Day 1 JPEG through day 2000 JPEGs, Todd Bain. Day 2001 through day 3600 JPEGs, Photoshop special effects, Todd Bain. Can I announce the big winner, Scott?
Go right ahead, Andy.
To my precious wife on our honeymoon night. I can't wait to share our love after I post this and see how the response is. Sydney Goldsmith.
Yay!
Sydney couldn't be here. He's waiting to share his thanks till after he posts this and sees how the response is. Okay, before we visit with actor and comedian Fred Stoller, I'm so tired of Facebook and everything else present day. So once again, we're about to take a very special journey, Dr. K. We're going to go back into the past.
Ooh.
And make a prediction while in the past about the future that sounds sick, but one we know will become true. It's time for the sick but true future prediction from the past. Today we're going back, Scott. 58 years. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hate to hear how you'd sound if you weren't ready. All right, strap yourself in. I'm certainly not going to strap you in. Let's go back into the past. We're going. It's 1965, Scott.
Wow.
We're at the New York World's Fair, and eager fairgoers are finally getting their chance to wait in long lines to hold a 10-minute visual talk over a picture phone with a brother or sister seated in front of a picture phone in an adjoining room. Excited though they may be, each has to remain perfectly still within a tiny vertical black and white frame in order to be seen. And now, the sick but true future prediction from the past. 58 years from now, brothers and sisters will easily be able to view each other on magnificent high-def color monitors or phones thousands of miles apart without waiting in line, but never do, because some twin sisters would rather spend their time watching emojis from Facebook, quote, friends, unquote, they went to high school with and haven't talked to for over 40 years. Now let's go back into the present. Oh my God.
Andy, that seemed like a strangely personal sick but true future prediction from the past.
What makes you say that?
Come on. Some twin sisters?
Did you hear me say my twin sister?
No, I guess not.
That's because I forget what she looks like. It's been so long. Well, you know, the opening line of your website says it all. Thanks for visiting my site, even if it was a mistake. Do you feel like a mistake, Fred Stoller?
That's a good question. I guess I apologize for myself more than I need to. I remember the first time I gave an autograph, I felt so awkward, like I'm not really anybody. So yes, I got to stop apologizing.
Good. At least you didn't say, I'm sorry, I should stop apologizing. Where do you think that insecurity stems from?
You know, actually, back in this was the late 70s, comedy isn't like it is now. It's almost as common as, being an obstetrician or, you know what I mean? And comedians were larger than life, the Catskills. Right. And I was very depressed and very shy, but that was the only way I knew to get out of Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, was to go to a club and hope to get discovered and be on like Happy Days or some show.
So when you quit college to become a comedian, your mom couldn't tell people you were a comedian.
Well, it's not politically correct, but it's a true story. She said, I'm not going to tell people you're a comedian. I'm going to say you're retarded. That was easier to explain.
His mother meant to say he was developmentally challenged.
I like that, Andy.
So yes, it comes from my mother always comparing me to others, putting me down, not being very affectionate, making me feel invisible, all that insecurity.
Only time I feel visible is when panhandlers spot me.
Sometimes I think I'm like the invisibility guy, except I can't go into women's locker rooms and see naked women. You know what I'm saying? I don't get any of the benefits.
The worst of both worlds.
Right.
Yeah.
I can relate. In fact, I've said before, I feel like the neurotic lead in my own movie, and the rest of the world are smiling, happy bit players interacting with each other. Ever feel like
exactly. that? Exactly. I wasn't following it, but what you just said.
Do you realize it's the happiest you've been all night? When you guys are talking about depressive things and you're laughing.
No, it's nice to know somebody else has the same problems. You know what this reminds me of? Years ago, there was a poignant story on 2020 about a poor little girl who never grew past 2'6" or something. And the entire world was shorter than her. And they finally found someone her height. They flew her to the opposite end of the country to meet.
So you're saying I'm like that?
Yeah.
That I'm making. Yeah. He's one of these guys that likes his friends to fail, so he feels better. You're the type that always watches Cops and goes, "Oh, I'm not like that guy, no shirt, spitting on himself with no eyes, and getting beaten up by his own dog." I don't like friends like this because they root against you. They get mad. Oh, you have a date. Oh, how did it go? Not good, I hope. Oh, damn it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm rooting for you.
on Seinfeld, you dated Elaine because you couldn't remember her.
Yeah. She was attracted to me only because I could remember her. And then we went on a date, and I was just demented. As why am I with this guy?
You've been anything but invisible on TV. How many guest roles do you think you've played over the years?
I don't know. There was a scene in my book, True Story. I've had it a few times where some woman on a date will look me up on the IMDb and think I'm a multimillionaire because there's a lot of credits, but a lot of them are short films or things for $300.
Not Everybody Loves Raymond. You played his cousin. And the premise was great, that you remind Raymond of everything about himself that he hates. So he's kind of trying to correct in you what he hated in himself.
Well, what happened was I originally auditioned for some part on Everybody Loves Raymond, some guy at a reunion. And Phil Rosenthal, who ran the show, and Ray, they were kind of laughing because I said the word now the way Ray says it. So my friend Steve Scrovan, who was a writer, said, you didn't get it, but if there's ever a cousin, you'll get it because, you look like Ray and say now the way he says it.
That's amazing. See what acting school and the Stanislavski method doesn't teach you? Pronounce now like the star you want to act with.
Mirroring technique in psychology, imitating the person you're persuading.
So your parents must have been proud of you when they saw you on that show.
I
My
think
mentally
so.
challenged son is on Everybody Loves Raymond. I mean, you have got a great thing going. Your face and voice are instantly identifiable. I mean, your license plate should say, that guy. Because I'll bet a lot of people say, I know that guy.
Oh, well, I get things where people, they hear me talk and they go, who are you? Are you famous? And I always say, if you have to ask, how famous can I be? When people go, who are you? I have different answers for different people. If it's a black guy, Rebound, Little Man. If it's someone, under 20, Wizards of Waverly Place or Drake and Josh.
You got a diversified audience there.
Yeah, I have social anxiety, but I still like interactions and little drips and drabs, like bumping into someone at the promenade or the Grove, saying hi for 4 minutes, then going. So sometimes someone would say, hey, we don't mean to bother you. We recognize you. Then all of a sudden, I'm so glad someone broke up the isolation. I'm bothering them. Hey, what are you guys doing?
Now, I think back to subbing, which I did a lot of when I first came out to LA. And so in terms of your life as a perennial TV guest star, was it also kind of freeing not being a permanent fixture on the show you were visiting?
When you're older, you don't have the pressure. Oh, there's a girl online at the bank, gotta, get her number, or gotta get a pilot. I'm in the mix. So I'm more free on a show when I know there's no way I'm coming back.
Right.
But when there's something, wait a minute, I was the cousin or in the office, then you have the anxiety, I should be back. You don't have to audition and you have a little sense of a home.
We shared a home at the same time on the Seinfeld writing staff. And you say it was less pressure coming back to guest star on the show after you were no longer on staff and didn't have to worry about the politics and everything.
Well, yeah, you're on staff. As you would know, but people may not know, most sitcoms, a table where you pound out all the stories for the season together. Seinfeld, my analogy is it's like a homicide division. We're all trying to solve homicides, but our own.
Yeah, good analogy. A lot of stories were killed.
Because you're on your own to be pushy and find Jerry and Larry and pitch them a story. And you feel emasculated when Larry makes a face like, what the hell's that? That's the stupidest thing.
He could curb his enthusiasm, all right.
I talked about in the book, if you remember.
Oh, I loved your books.
And I got to get yours. Congratulations. It seems like it did well. Friends of mine said it.
Oh, thank you. Banging my head against the wall. Product placement.
Yeah, they said, oh, I like this one too. I go, yeah, Andy. And I was meaning to get it. So I will get it.
Think he'll really go get it?
He said he would.
Doesn't mean he will. Maybe he was just being nice.
Doesn't mean he won't.
Doesn't mean he wasn't just being nice. And many sessions earlier.
Are you familiar with the term, don't sweat the small stuff?
How come your terms always have more than one term to them?
Okay.
I'm familiar with the term don't. I'm familiar with the term sweat.
I guess that's an inaccurate use of the word term.
I guess so.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the term term?
I guess it would be more accurate to say, are you familiar with the phrase?
Can we go back to the interview now?
All right.
It's almost like a Seinfeld episode with 6 weeks left to go on staff. He said to me, all right, I'm not going to use that story. Season's almost over. no point in doing anything else. I said, does that
Yeah.
mean don't come in anymore?
It was like a farmer being paid not to plow.
I had to come in for my checks. No point doing anything else. So I'd come to work and sit around and go home. And so I felt much more appreciated as an actor. You're just there and they're laughing and thanking you. So
yeah. The staff writing experience was never a joyride for me on any show I was involved with. Although when we were at Seinfeld, there was no table by and large, which until, later on Jerry took over when Larry left and it became a table. But as challenging as pitching individually on the fly was, I hated table writing. I always likened it to cooking a meal together with people who had different dietary needs and tastes. I may like the Brussels sprouts. You may not like the Brussels sprouts. Doesn't mean the Brussels sprouts aren't worthy. It's a very subjective combination of opinions.
It's one extreme. It's either isolation on Seinfeld or a bunch of loud, aggressive people pitching an idea. It's like Jeopardy. Booze, you press the button and gotta get...
What is obnoxious?
And some of them you give when it's a table, an answer and no one listens, they're trying to get their own. So it's like an auctioneer, people auctioning, right. Trying to get their wares on. So yes, you're either with a lot of aggressive, pushy, loud people, or you're totally on your own, like on Seinfeld.
When you guys were just talking a moment ago about an idea that you thought was really funny, and then Larry said, well, that was stupid. I was thinking, boy, there must be a ton of great ideas. There's probably a lot of good stuff still.
Well, there's a whole chapter in my book, Banging My Head Against the Wall, about Seinfeld stories I pitched. I've talked about this one before. The earliest one of mine Larry liked, but didn't get made before I pitched him the opposite, was The Lost Bra. George finds a large lost bra in the dryer in the laundromat and wants to find the woman it fits, like the glass slipper. And Kramer keeps killing the fantasy. That's obviously a grandmother's bra. Look at the lace on there. Okay, tell him about one of yours Larry liked, Monkey Jungle.
Oh, yes. As you know, when you write on Seinfeld, you take things from your life.
Yeah, thinking I would have been better off doing the opposite came from my life.
When I was a kid, our family went to this place in Florida called Monkey Jungle. And I remember these grown men, in hindsight, they were probably 18. They were throwing rocks at the monkeys. They weren't hitting them, but the woman who works there goes, what are you throwing rocks at monkeys for? And it's true. He goes, they started it. So I told that story to Larry. He goes, yeah, that could be funny. Kramer has to apologize to a monkey.
Speaking of your younger days, what do you know now that you wish you knew then?
Now I wish I looked I didn't know I was better looking than I was years ago. And as that cliche, youth is wasted on the young. But I got to say, a lot of my depression, anxiety has gotten better as I got older in the fact that I'm not in the game, showbiz, pilot season, trying to meet women.
Yeah.
And it's kind of liberating because I don't have the anxiety and depression that something has to happen, that this is my time. Like, why aren't I? Now you just accept I'm older. I'd be online at a bank and, someone said hi or whatever. How do I get her number? Mm-hmm. Like, for example, I returned to stand-up comedy briefly because I had my book and I went on this festival circuit and had to do my act. I was kind of a little bit less stressful doing my act because there wasn't that pressure. I can meet a waitress. I'm going to hang out. Maybe someone thought I was funny. There was no shot of that. And it was a lot less stressful.
That is really interesting. You know what? That kind of pays lip service. Dr. K, did you hear about this statistic? They were gauging reactions from age groups during the pandemic, and they found that older people tended to be happier. I wonder if that relates to anything Fred was talking about.
I don't know if it relates exactly what he was talking about, but there's something about acquiring wisdom as one ages because you've been through so many situations like rejections from women, rejections from producers, rejections from sitcoms, and then you figure out a way to handle it. I think that's the dimension that might apply to that statistic.
I saw Louis C.K.'s special after the scandal, and one of his bits, and I'm not going to do it justice, was you have more anxiety in your 20s because, wow, I have 70 years left, But when you're in your 50s, you go, what do I have, like 26 years left? I could do this. So now when you're older, it's like, I got the money I need. You know what I mean? So I could ride this out.
Yeah, how frightening would it be to discover tomorrow that there's a vaccine that could extend your life another 50 years? I think that would be more frightening than knowing you were going in 10 or 20. Here's kind of a sick analogy I might apply to that. And I've talked about this in session with you before, Dr. K. I always like what's about to end more than what's about to begin. I hated camp, going to camp, overnight camp. And then by the time it was over, I was crying to stay there. I didn't want to go home. So maybe it's the same way as far as life is concerned. I don't mean to imply, Fred, that you're about to end your life, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, what you're saying could be a lot of the anxiety. Like I'd have anxiety when I'm about to go to a party, and then it's not as bad as the anticipation. But I find with the pandemic, the pressure was off. It was like a reboot, a timeout. I had enough parties and barbecues and trying to meet people and socialize. So I actually liked the break for a while.
Yeah.
People have had depression or trauma. We weren't as affected by this lockdown because we've rehearsed it. And another thing I've learned as I've gotten older is imagine trauma, futurizing as they call it, messes your head, your imagination, then real trauma like lawsuits or my cat dying, which was traumatic, but anticipating these events is more stressful than the actual events, I learned.
Absolutely. In fact, I once pitched a story for Seinfeld, which they didn't use, of course, having to do with all the characters discovering what I called a life loophole. I talk about it in my book, where if you imagine the worst case scenario happening, because anything you imagine never happens that precise way ultimately. So if you intentionally imagine the worst case scenario as far as an event that you're dreading, then you will be sure to almost inoculate yourself against that event happening. Your imagination is sometimes your own worst enemy. Dr. K?
That sounds like a prediction that you would definitely make, imagining the worst case scenario.
And in this case, I imagine the worst case scenario, you responding that way, and it came true.
See, in our business, we call that negative future prediction.
Yeah, didn't you talk with Kathy Geisway about that when she was on the show?
Yeah, she was quite worried. Fred, I was listening to your answers to questions. I don't know if it was a podcast. One individual asked you, how can I get my parents to support me to be a comedian? And then an actor was asking you about advice. You gave some responses that I thought really reflected mental health. And I don't know if you remember it. One was that your parents' non-support made you stronger.
Yeah, I mean, well, it took away my self-esteem. Do you remember the context?
Getting into the comedy world, how can I get my parents to accept me? And I think your bottom line is you can't.
Exactly. And that I embraced that as part of my persona.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then that had to do with your answer to the question about acting. And you made a couple of astute comments. One was, don't be a clone. Two, find out who you are, embrace who you are, and embrace your imperfections.
I believe that, yes.
Something that I try to work with the people who come to me who are in various states of trauma or depression or anxiety, and they think there's something drastically wrong with them.
The strongest comedians and actors, a sense of self-awareness about them.
Right.
I'm in on the joke that I'm kind of a schmuck, thinking I'm a cool guy. So to me, I'm amazed by comedians. There's just a few that have no sense of self-effacement. Maybe I have too much, but...
Good, there's that self-effacement. I don't get people without self-effacement. Carson had it about his marriages. Gleason about his weight.
Yeah.
Speaking of self-effacement, and your parents, tell the story about how your mom signs off on her cards.
Oh, yeah. My mother, she's not doing it as a joke. She bought a birthday card and it says to my father, she crossed it out and wrote son, and which would be a joke, but it wasn't a joke. That's not her humor, or she has none that way. And she doesn't write love mom, it was said fondly. So I've graduated to my mother's sort of fond of me.
So it's a challenge writing the word love on the
I used to do a joke in my act. There's not a lot of warmth and affection between me and my mother. I asked her about it. I said, Mrs. Stoller.
You could do worse than fondly, Fred. If I got fondly back in high school from some girl, I'd think she liked me. So, Fred, your mom likes you.
Remember, Fred, I think you may be more mentally healthy than you're giving yourself credit.
You know what really helped is when I just embraced it. That someone said something that really helped. Two people said the same line. I was at this party and this friend of mine said, "Oh, I hate small talk." And I said, "Do you have social anxiety also?" She goes, "No, I don't like it." Then it really liberated me that it's not social anxiety. It's not for me. So I used to, all these things that gave me anxiety, I thought there's something wrong with me. I don't like this. I don't like that.
It's a preference, not a pathology.
Yes. I had forced myself thinking I had social anxiety, a flaw. Then I realized I don't like it.
All the stuff I talk about in therapy with you, Dr. K, that bugs me, maybe it's not that I'm screwed up. Maybe it's just things that bug me aren't for me.
You seem to draw more life lessons from our guests than you do from me as your therapist.
They make smarter choices, like not having me as a patient. If you enjoyed this episode, it's free to subscribe. And please rate and review us. And give us a follow on Twitter at Andy G. Cowan. Well, we want to thank Fred Stoller, our supporters at Benstown McVeigh Media Podcast Networks, Mike McVeigh, Chachi, Suzanne Aksu, Robbie Gessel, Lisa Dollinger, and most importantly, our listeners, for sharing your time and comments.
Sharing is what connecting with people is all about, Andy.
And if the sharing's on Facebook, what annoying people's all about. Come visit andycowan.net for a way to reach out and get my big book, Banging My Head Against the Wall, A Comedy Writer's Guide to Seeing Stars, forward by Jay Leno, available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Black Rose Writing, and at the National Comedy Center in Lucille Ball's hometown, Jamestown, New York. Hitchin' on the Highway of Life, opening theme by yours truly, instrumental performance by Marty Rifkin, the full tune also available on Amazon, musical stingers by Steve Crum, Lazy Day closing theme by the Bob Mintzer Big Band.
For your mental wellness, you can reach me at drscottk@psysolutions.net.
Until next session, I'm Andy Cowan.
And I'm Dr. Scott Kapoyan. For now, I see our time is up.